Hello everyone, welcome to Mary's Little House. It's so nice to have you. It's a cool, quiet evening here at Mary's Little House. We just had tornado-like winds last night. One of the fences of our neighbors, a whole section got blown down. The posts were brand new, but they both broke. The one that held up that section. That's how strong the wind was. Fortunately, Mary's little house remained intact. I know Mary was watching over her little house. And Saint Joseph, who watched over the Holy Family, I feel watches over and protects us too. I'm so grateful to come to you. I'm going to talk to you about the spiritual life. Remember, it's the spiritual life is our union with Jesus. Our holiness is total gift of ourselves to Him and Him to us. Union with Jesus. He wants to give us everything, but pride fills us up with our own false sense of independence, that we could do it without God. So pride is the enemy. But the antidote to pride is humility. Humility acknowledges our complete inability to do anything good of ourselves. It acknowledges our need, our total dependence upon God for any good. It is the foundation of our spiritual life. Humility empties us of that false sense of independence, so God can come and fill us with His grace, with His love, with His blessings. The little flower knew this, and that's what I want to share with you today. It's the first foundation of her spirituality, of the little way of spiritual childhood. She had that keen insight on the value of her littleness. Here's what she says, and I have it underlined, and I've often referred back to this and quoted it often in my life in helping others understand the little way of spiritual childhood. The Almighty has done great things for me, and the greatest is to show me my littleness and my helplessness for any good. And then the commentator, Father Vernon Johnson, says, nothing taught her dependence on her dependence so much on God as the knowledge of her own failings. She continues, I quote her, I do not grieve in seeing that I am weakness itself. On the contrary, it is in this I glory, and I expect each day to discover new imperfections, and I acknowledge that these lights concerning my nothingness do me more good than the lights concerning the faith. Don't you see? When she feels her limitedness, when she feels her weakness, when she feels her failings, when she feels her littleness, this does her more good than a new insights into the faith, new theological insight, because only then can she totally depend on God. She leaves all her false sense of independence. She leaves all pride that holds us back from surrendering to God. She leaves everything and opens herself totally and completely to Jesus, to God's grace, to the eternal Father's graces. So her littleness is her treasure. Now we who are more prideful, we get discouraged to see our littleness. We keep trying, we take one step forward, two steps backward. But for her, it was her power. It was a way that she could keep her hand firmly in God's hand and not pull it away in pride and a false sense of independence, a false sense of my own accomplishment. But she keeps herself completely, totally dependent on God, as a little child does on her parent. Let me read it again. It's just so beautiful. It gives us such hope. We are so little and weak. Now listen, the Almighty, this is her words, the Almighty has done great things for me, and the greatest is to show me my littleness and my helplessness for any good. And then Father says the way God shows it is by her experience, her littleness, her weakness, her failings. And these do more good for her than, as she later says, than a new insight into the faith. For then she's free. Her both hands she could give to the Father. Her whole heart she could give to the Father. She's not holding anything back. She's not over on the side doing her own thing. But she completely lets God do everything for her. And in fact, I want to leapfrog a few pages, and this sort of sums it all up. When somebody asked her, "How did you get so holy so fast?" Remember, she died when she was 24, and she was so holy and close to God. And here's what she answered: "It is my weakness that makes all my strength. Jesus did everything in me. I did nothing but remain little and weak. Thus, the very thing that is that to." Her words are, "How did I get so holy so soon?" To the questioner, "It is my weakness that makes all my strength." Can you imagine that? It is my weakness that makes all my strength. Jesus did everything in me. Don't you see? She moved over. She moved over. Her pride wasn't holding her back, making her go have a false independence from God, a false reliance on herself, which makes us so unhappy because we never do the right way anyway by ourselves. We fall flat on our face without God's help. But it was the answer to the question was how she got holy so fast. It is my weakness that makes all my strength. Jesus did everything. And what Jesus did is the holiness, makes her holy. I did nothing but remain little and weak. Isn't that neat? I'm a natural little and weak person. So I would have just remained little and weak. So Jesus can do everything in me and through me. And that was the secret of her holiness. That was the foundation of her life, her littleness and weakness. So she could completely trust in God, not in herself, completely open herself to God's graces and God's love, and not be closen with pride and false independence and false reliance on her own power. So these teachings, I underlined them, and they've been my teaching that's kept me going for so many years. Not that I've lived that very well, but I want to share it with you. So remember, when you feel so discouraged and you're so little, the kids have been all over the place and you haven't been the most noble mother, or the father comes home and crabby, or all that littleness, all that stuff that makes you so, oh, I'm not a good mom, I'm not a good daddy, I'm not a good director of the ministry, all that is our strength. Jesus said, "It is my weakness that makes all my strength." Because when we bring ourselves so little, and like a little child wanting to be held with both hands, we're not holding on to anything, and God picks us up. She even says that God picks us up like a little child and sets on she put on the peak of Mount Carmel, which is perfection for her as a Carmelite. God, he even said that God's arms were the elevator. But he can't pick us up if we don't hold both of our arms up. If we don't completely trust in him. And it's our weakness, which is our strength. So let's glory in our infirmities, as St. Paul says, because he even said the same thing. I glory in my infirmities, for grace is made perfect in weakness. So God bless you. Don't get discouraged. Bring all that weakness and littleness and commotion and mess, bring it all to the Lord, and let him lift us up to his heart, to holiness, so that we can be such a consolation to our families, to the church, bringing the love of Christ to them in being so close to Jesus. And he'll fill us with his love, and so we can spread that love to everyone and to the whole world, to the whole church. God bless you now.